finals. Is he... I
Did
missed the little
Reflection-
screen right there. What's
Did
going on?
Reflection choose Bayo?
He did. Oh, he did. Hey, this is his OG main. So,
Okay.
received a lot of nerfs from the last game over to this one, as you do not
Hey,
need
listen,
me
we're
or
not talking
Hangman
about that
to
game. We're
explain.
talking about this game.
I was
and
gonna say, as you do not need me nor Hangman to explain to you.
all we need to bring up, if you want to talk about Bayonetta, is that we had previously seen one on stream. We previously seen one on stream against the likes of Whale. So, will Whale be able to hunt down 2 witches in tonight's bracket? I think it's likely. I don't know if Reflection's style of play is able to really step around how well Whale is able to control the space on a stage. Because there's one, like, unifying note to how well Whale is played thus far. It's the control of the base platform. Regardless of how well the opposing players have played around plats, it's always been how well that Whale has been able to trap the landings on the base platform and the ledge. We've seen superb control of Isabelle's tools, get them through multitudes of different types of matchups at this point, and even break first blood for losers finals here.
I couldn't agree with that. Oh, go ahead.
As they trip right into forward smash, go on.
I apologize. I was just simply going to say that I couldn't agree with you more, and I think it's, I think frankly, more than anything else, Whale's set versus Seabass really amplified that. Or not even the set, just the third game in that set. Because, yeah, I mean, you got counterpicked to Battlefield, but Whale still essentially played on, and played successfully on, like the stage was basically Final Destination. Like you mentioned, like the base platform is this hold down neutral, this zoning neutral is where, like, Whale really, really shines. As to be expected when you are playing the puppy zoner character. I can sort of understand Reflection wanting to go Bayonetta, a very mobile character, and especially in terms of her specials, like just flying around the stage like a damn Marvel character, as she's done for years. So I can sort of understand that front more than anything else. I guess they feel like, oh, I can at the very least play the defensive game on my end as the Bayonetta to work my way around a character's zoning tools like Isabelle pretty well, even with or without these platforms, I should say. Easier with, I imagine, on the part of Reflection, at the very least in their mind. But with the way that Whale has been playing tonight in terms of this base platform control that you were talking about earlier, I'm not sure how much of that is going to matter, but I think it might matter a little bit more with the way that Reflection is playing, which is very, very passive so far tonight, Hangman.
I mean, Whale can't really afford to press a lot of buttons here because Reflection can very well just get through, whether it's Heal Slide, ABK, even just approaching with Shield. Like, Shield and Witch Time alone are, like, enough to really invalidate a lot of the projectile pressure because, like, Bayonetta is... Oh, no. Yeah, no, you can't fool around off stage that long. That's a wrap. But, like, a lot of grounded approach options from Bayonetta happen to be very strong in this matchup. And it's not often that you get a chance to say that, because typically, Bayonetta's grounded options are very limited and very linear. Yet here, it works really well because they just happen to mitigate a lot of that pressure that you see from projectiles. Basic bread and butter gets a kill off the top, and that, I think, is going to set a note for the rest of this set, depending on if we see Bayonetta from Reflection throughout it. And that's, how well can Whale SCI out of these combos?
Yeah, you know, Bayonetta... It's not exactly killing off the top like that, but of course, you know, still gets a lot of damage off of that more than anything else.
Yeah, no, it's simply a matter of if Reflection is going to get free damage off of the typical bread and butters, but then also, like, if Whale can defend themselves from dying particularly early. Isabelle's kind of floaty. She's able to, like, get out of those with little difficulty. Like, if your SDI is close to optimal, let's presume no one has optimal SDI, because that was far from optimal STI. Christ.
Might have been towards the blast zone.
Might have just been bad.
Instead.
Excellent game from game one, excellent from Reflection. No, I'm going to call it what it is, because I know that Isabelle can actually survive to pretty disgusting numbers in this particular matchup, but it's a matter of knowing those survival tactics. Because we saw how good this match looked when Whale was in the driver's seat. When Whale was able to really dictate how this game was played, both on stage and off stage, Isabelle was looking dominating and being able to control all of that space. Once Reflection landed any hit on and got a bread and butter off, that was that. Whale's going to have to learn in real time how to survive those combos, otherwise that's going to be a wrap in Reflection's favor.
And on the record, SDI even towards the blast zone, but it's never meant to imply that that was anything other than bad if I did, just to construe anything to anyone. I definitely understand not wanting to go back to Battlefield this time around. Those platforms just gave Bayonetta all the room in the world to not only work around Isabelle's zoning tools, but also just to combo her to pieces. And re-extend a lot of that stuff as well, despite, you know, any potential SDI, which clearly Whale just does not know how to do yet. This time around, it's going to be a little different. No top platform to potentially get roofed on the top. Only the side platforms to be able to extend things off of, which I feel like personally is not going to hinder Bayonetta really too much, if anything. If anything, I would imagine that Isabelle would want to go to a stage that's even flatter. That is more likely what Reflection probably banned. I imagine FD was among those selections. So now we're just going to have to see how Whale is going to have to come to terms with one less platform off the top right here, but still relatively in the same ballpark for what Reflection wants in terms of not only avoidance, but offense as well. Bayonetta, in a sense, does the same thing in twice. Good stuff, keeping the distance with the fishing rod right there, yeeting Bayonetta off the top.
You know, it's funny how much removing that one platform from Battlefield completely changes the dynamic in space. Right? It's like, when it exists, the platforms act as like a canopy, like a triangular defensive field that allow characters to either defend from below it and shark those plats, or have free reign to land upon them to mix up how they opt to put out pressure from the air. Once you remove that, all of a sudden, those platforms just don't offer any form of defensive play. They favor so heavily to whoever's able to shark them and control at the ledge. Like, right there was actually a perfect example of this. If Whale had the topmost platform to escape to, would have been fine. But the lack thereof is what allowed Reflection to smack the puppy away with an up smash.
Mm-hmm. And yeah, totally, like, in theory, you figured that Isabelle would be able to close that gap a lot better, especially on a stage like this. As we saw Whale in literally 3 sets in a row before this one utilize this stage to its max potential for sure. But this is Reflection that we're talking about. One of Tri-State's prominent Bayonettas for sure. A character with immense mobility more than anything else. I gotta tell you, Hangman, it's a little reminiscent of Sensei's set earlier that we did see versus, I believe, I don't remember if it was Reflection or it was Haven, I believe it was, we were commentating. It's sort of reminiscent of that. You have a character that can sort of control the stage or hold it down relatively solidly, whether that's with zoning tools or in Haven's case was a disjoint, versus a character with all the mobility in the world. You know, I mean, it's not ZSS, excuse me, Bayonetta. It's no flip jump, of course, as that beautiful tech is going to ensure Reflection survives there. But above all else, how much do these zoning tools really matter when you got Witch Twist and you got ABK to just fly around the stage and just not really care about those things too much, as well as the offstage presence on the part of Reflection right here to Whale. There's no invincibility, no hitbox on that recovery as well, and Bayonetta, my friends, she loves the offstage level, man. This witch got wings for sure, and she's going to be offstage to exploit Whale off there with that Witch Twist over and over and over again. Call us crazy. We sighed at the lack of the Joker we saw earlier. But as the set goes on, Hangman, at the very least with the way Reflection's currently playing, I think I'm understanding now.
I mean, it's not a bad pick to be said. I do feel like while Isabelle may be doing better than expected in this matchup, it's not like she outright wins it. I feel like it's just a very particular way to play the matchup, and I think Whale's style of play fits really well to that. And where we saw it earlier in Death Spade's hands, I don't think it was navigated as effectively as Reflection is showcasing here. So I think it's just a matter of the styles of play really showing a difference as opposed to, like, the matchup on paper.
Yeah, I could sort of agree with that. You know, I mean, at the very end of the day, it's not just truly like matchup. Still got to know what you're doing on top of all of that. Because from the horizontal plane right here, as you see Whale trying to play from a little bit more, that is definitely where Isabelle pertains to shine just a little bit more than anything else. And that can honestly spell a pretty hard time for Bayonetta, you know, like, it's not going to matter any vertical planes. Like, if you're holding down the neutral like that, right there, that's exactly what I was about to talk about. That's exactly what I was going to mention. How much do these combos matter? How much does the vertical plane of Bayonetta truly matter if you're still able to hold down a neutral and call out options like that? From the horizontal plane, it's different. those options from Bayonetta, especially because of the lack of her kill power, become that much more linear against a zoner-type character the less platforms there are. You take the platforms away from the fact that it's a platform fighter, as Hangman mentioned earlier, what pretty much the lack of a top platform does. Bayonetta suddenly has to fight you? Ooh, she's not as good in that in this game. She's not as good in that. She can make herself very... what am I trying to say? Very linear, very predictable in terms of her approaching right there. And if you don't believe me, you can just go ahead and ask Whale, who just called out a downwards ABK with the forward smash. How many times, Hangman? How many times are we going to see him land that tonight?
It's honestly more than I was expecting, but also, to be fair, I wasn't expecting to see Isabelle this many times in a row on stream.
Neither was I. I was not expecting the little panda puppy to make the appearance, the little Shih Tzu, I believe she technically is, over and over again like this. And I also was not expecting to see Battlefield in the third game here. I was expecting this to be banned after the way that that first game went around. But if we learned anything, is that despite any, quote-unquote bad counterpicks to Battlefield, or how, again, quote-unquote bad of a stage this is for Isabelle, which, in theory, it's really not, she can play pretty much any stage like it is Final Destination, my friend. Like you said, it's not the platforms. It's how you use it.
Yeah, it's all about that base plat. Time and time again, Whale has shown that even if his opponents have these options against Isabelle, he's not really doing too much moving. And I think that fits really well to how Isabelle is as a character. Isabelle isn't especially speedy and isn't especially aggressive, but the way that Whale is controlling space and able to rack up those little bits of damage through these interactions where it's just basic juggling, I think is just really good. I think what we're seeing ahead of us is just really good Isabelle play.
It really is. It's not something that you get to see very often, so whether you're watching the VODs right now or whether you're watching live on the Master Hand Gaming stream, we hope you're enjoying this spectacle of spectacles that you don't get to often see too much. You got Whale and the likes of Mr. Zircon as well, among others, and now you get to see Whale strut their stuff best right here as no stocks are taken.
Oh, I'm sure Zircon is smiling upon this bracket run for Whale, but right now it's Whale who's in the limelight. This has been a fantastic showing of force from them, and Reflection is not making this easy for them, that is to be certain, but some wayward play off stage is going to be disastrous for Reflection. Okay.
Yeah, Reflection did not mean to ride the wall downwards right there for sure. They were unfortunately just low enough between that little point as the forward smash takes the stock. They were just low enough off the side of Battlefield to the point where the wall is not, what am I trying to say here, the technical term? It wasn't exactly solid. It's the point where you sort of ride it underneath instead with a move that carries momentum like a teleport or an ABK or any move that has sort of continuous momentum like those things that let you ride the wall like that. They meant to bounce off of it for the recovery is what they were doing, hanging around there a little too much. But hey, sometimes you play stupid games and you win stupid prizes, and unfortunately Reflection didn't realize how stupid that game was, in fact, below the level. And they're going to have to take that SD and hold it in this game number 3, as we are down to even stocks with 4.5 minutes left on the clock. Okay.
Yeah, Whale is right now just trying to beat out some of these buttons Reflection's placing out, though I think Reflection's actually doing a very good job of spacing these options. And heel slide not going to lead into too big of a combo, but a decent bit of damage is going to help. No catch with the forward smash. That would have been an amazing read, but just wasn't the right timing for it.
Yeah, Whale hanging on that platform a little bit more, making sure not to get hit by that. Not thinking into the future too far that time. That time they just got a little bit lucky in that department. Just wanted better positioning to avoid potential options like that. This third game, I gotta say, these guys just going tit for tat right here in terms of stocks percentage and damage on top of everything else. And there's the projectile once again. That is one good thing that Bayonetta has in this matchup, my friend.
But that interaction was exactly what I brought that up earlier. So this is now, I think, the third or fourth time we've seen this from Whale, where Whale is able to slide from using Lloyd. And because Whale was just zipping away from Reflection, Reflection couldn't get it any more substantial of a punish. They had to settle for a forward throw, which, isn't bad, but Whale's not dead because of it. Oh, I love when the cheesy little advanced tech like that really comes through in bracket.
Yeah, it's definitely a sight to behold, as well as just
talk about cheese.
Right there off the ledge. Welcome to France, ladies and gentlemen. The cheese factory is open for business. Call it cheese, but it was also, optimal at the same time. We have not seen Whale go for that all set. all set. So, of course, the one time that they're going to go for it, it's going to land if that situation presents itself where Reflection's off the hanging on stage and just isn't prepared for it. Now it's definitely going to be something that's on Reflection's radar instead for sure. So, Whale definitely being a little bit passive with options like that, knowing when to hold them, knowing when to fold them, and knowing when to use it. The conditioning is what really mattered there at the end of the day to set something like that up. I thought that killed for a second.
Good DI from Reflection, and the percentage is just a little too early yet on Bayonetta. That being said, though, Reflection is hurting at 104 and counting. They have to make every hit they get count. And please don't jump into another forward smash. We already got hype for it, and now it's just sad.
Stop.
Do better, Chris. Do better for yourself.
He heard you, I promise. You literally saw him jump in, and then immediately as he saw him charging it, double jump backwards. You saw it right here, folks. That is education. That is learning at its finest degree. That's the kind of stuff that you'll put in, like, one of those, like, Smash, like, 101 beginner tutorial videos talking about, like, conditioning or whatever. Like, here you see the Bayonetta jump in and then jump back because of what they got hit by before. Like, textbook, really.
Good idea, bad idea.
Oh, Red Witch, Blue Witch.
Alright, so 133 and counting on Reflection, but not finding any way to come in on Whale. Whale has just been able to go from side to side of the stage, and that defensive canopy of Battlefield's triplats really coming in handy for them. Earlier I was kind of agreeing with your sentiment as to why Whale wasn't banning off this stage, given that it's consistently been the counter pick against him. But seeing this play as this match starts to bring itself into the last 60 seconds of it, it looks like Whale is really well acclimated to this kind of defensive play, and the hitbox from forward throw. I am so glad that Reflection tied it up right there and ended out Game 3 in their favor, because that was about to be the goofiest ending to a match.
That was so close.
Oh
no. My god, look at that. The explosion with the forward throw hitbox. Holy god. Yeah, Whale was not expecting it. Caught him in a moment where...
I don't think if Reflection didn't react with the down-angled forward smash, I actually don't think they would have been able to clean that back up, because those percentages were climbing, and that was a kerfuffle and a half.
Worst part is that, if that forward throw hitbox didn't do it and he got hit by that Lord Rocket right there, that would have been a dead bail. He would have been more than prepared for that up air. You saw how many times he landed that, that classic Isabelle confirmation. That classic, say the full thing, the classic confirm right there, and the Lord Rocket into the up air, getting those proper turnips when they need them. That would have been the game the complete other way around, had that functioned as intended. But Bayonetta just punching it right in the face, the Lord Rocket saying, "Get back down, I'm better than you, the Umber Witch." And yeah, definitely ooh as well. Pokemon Stadium 2, it's been a minute tonight since we've seen this stage.
Yeah, typically the setting for damn near every game to be expected in a top 8. Tonight, we really haven't been seeing too much of it, and I think this is a very interesting time for us to be seeing it. Layout-wise, I do feel like it's very similar to small battlefields. The presence of 2 platforms and it being fairly long, but I wouldn't be surprised if Reflection banned off that stage, but then also, picking into this stage actually does favor a fair bit into Bayonetta, I feel, because now we're going to be able to see how well Reflection can play out from max distance on the stage, making use of the bullet climax to try and pressure Whale off of those plats if they opt to circle camp. But then also, I feel like it's going to be a bit more rewarding for the play off the top, which, while, as you brought up, we have seen plenty of times off of Lloyd Mine into up air, I feel like there aren't as many other situations where Whale is finding opportunities to kill vertically.
Yeah, I can count on as many fingers as there were on that giant fist, Reflection taking the first stock. I was gonna say, yeah, I can count on really one hand tonight how many times, ironically enough, Whale has been taken to a big stage. We've seen mostly small Battlefield from them tonight, and Battlefield as well. A little bit of FD mixed in there in the Seabass set that we saw earlier. This is the first time I think we've really seen them on PS2 pretty much all night. So as far as, this long stage like this, it's against a mobile character like Bayonetta, it's going to create a very interesting dynamic. Where it's... you have just literally more room. You have more room to work around the Lord. I was gonna say, straight up, you have more room to work around the Lord Rocket as Reflection rolls right into it from ledge.
Yeah, no, that's
stuck to it.
With the jab pressure on shield too, that's actually just typical play. Oh,
Yep.
Listen, it's by the book by Whale, expertly executed. It's what I like to see.
Yep. I'm hitting you right here in the shield. Oh, you want to get away from this? You're going to roll. Here's my rocket. There you go.
I feel like at least continuing to focus on the stage, like, you were bringing up an interesting point as far as like the space that can be controlled, and I think it lends really well into the idea of like, just because a character has projectiles doesn't necessarily mean they want that bigger space. It's all about how well a character's tools are acclimated for controlling a set amount of space. And we've seen how well that Whale is fitting to the more average-sized stages. Now that we've got something a bit more laterally oriented, take note about how Whale is really trying to funnel this battle in past the plaques. They really don't want to. They want to sit down. They want to approach the battle. They don't really want to navigate past center stage because it acts almost like a no man's land. You get in there, and all of a sudden, you're within Reflection's burst range. You have to deal with short hop ABK. You have to deal with heel slide. You might get shot out with bullet climax. Raw Bear is all of a sudden very threatening from center stage on PS2, and not something that Whale can really afford to contest with.
And as you can see, Reflection is just not scared to play that long game now that they pretty much can as well. You see,
they have the percentage lead.
Just sort of
69%. They're chilling.
Sort of playing little sister right there, running to the other side of the stage and up tilting just like Reflection was doing. Yeah, you know, it's interesting, and I couldn't agree with you more. I mean, that's the thought that I was going to conclude in my sentiment earlier. In that, yeah, bigger stage, you think, oh god, what do I do to get around these owners? No, sometimes the smaller stages are what's better for them because now you have less space to even be able to work around them. As far as controlling space goes, like you mentioned before. Dude, Chris is not going to be able to. He's not going to be afraid to camp here. Reflection will not be afraid to hang back.
You say that, but Reflection, on a couple of instances, forcing the situation, is bringing both players right down to last stock. And Reflection very well could have had a lead had they not have lost their sense of patience so quickly.
Well, that's what it is. It's just a matter of patience. Like, you know, you see, I saw him doing it a little bit earlier, but then he just has these brief moments where he runs in. Of course, you know, the discipline can kind of wear thin a little bit, especially with the way that Whale is utilizing this layout. You were talking about it earlier, but you see exactly where he's picking and choosing his spots for the Lord Rocket. He's saying,
"No, we're not going off the top,
we're not going off. No. Oh my god!
Let this be a lesson to you. Learn your SDI." Because that right there, we haven't seen since game one, I think stock one. But regardless, it's exactly what Reflection needed to take the set 3-1 over Whale.
I was gonna say, you know, beautiful the way that Whale was trying to take advantage of the big stage. All right, I'll put the Lord Rocket here in literally the center of the Pokeball. Try to, you know, minimize, you know, the range that Reflection, minimize the space that Reflection can really play in, is what I'm trying to say. Sort of create a small battlefield on a very, very big battlefield. None of that really mattered. I mean, Reflection, for the most part of this game, did play disciplined enough with, you know, one or two instances where they walked into or rolled into the Lord Rocket right here. But there you go. Evo, right there, getting ABK'd right in the air.
Dead at 84 before the final hit. It's tough business. That's honestly just how it goes. Like, if you don't do your homework, you don't survive as much against a character like Bayonetta. Like, you're able to get out of those kind of situations, especially as a floaty character. Like, you need to learn your survival techniques. If you're going to be playing patiently, if you're going to be controlling situations as effectively as we've seen from Whale tonight, you need to couple that in with how you could fortify your defensive play, and that includes your DI and your SDI. Because even though Isabelle is small, even though she is light, she can survive a decent amount of time, and that really comes in handy for those more patience-oriented matchups like Bayonetta,